What's cracking, everybody? What's going on? Welcome to the Mac Daddy Seminar. I'm your host, Taylor Dunn, and normally I would give you an episode number for which episode this is, but this is a special episode. Today, my guest is my wife, Zana, and we are celebrating our 6-year marriage anniversary, also our 10-year anniversary of being together. We recorded this episode almost a week ago, and when we sat down to record it, we do like we normally do, where, when we have our long conversations, we'll have a couple of drinks, and, that's the same format that we followed when we recorded this. We had a little bit more to drink than we originally anticipated, and there are some parts after watching the final product that didn't make sense, and I've cut that out. So if it seems kind of choppy, I apologize, but there's just some stuff that, we said or we rambled on about that we just didn't want in the final product of the episode. I really hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you for those of you that sent kind messages and stuff, congratulating us on our anniversary and whatnot. We really appreciate it. And with that being said, enjoy the episode. So today, we have officially been living here in California for a solid year. I got here on September 6th, 2019, and you and Lily, you came out here originally with me. We drove cross country, and then Zana flew back. She hung out with Lily for a couple of weeks while I waited to get our house, and then they came out and joined me on October 2nd. Yeah. And ever since then, we've been Californians. And also, the big reason I wanted to do this episode with my lovely wife is it is our 6-year wedding anniversary coming up on Monday of next week, September 14th. And the day after that is our what?
Our anniversary for when we started dating?
Our anniversary when we started dating, which was how many years ago?
Was it 2010 or 2011?
It was 2010.
Okay. I'm old.
You're not as old as me. Well, technically you are. Anyway. So yeah, I put it out earlier this week that, if you had any questions for us or anything, that we would, get back to them and answer all the questions, and we're going to get to them throughout the episode. I'm going to kind of spread them out. But first, I just want to kind of talk about our experience that we've had living in California during this time. So when we first got here, I was so excited to be moving out here. I mean, this is all I thought about for probably 6-7 months before I finally made the move out here. You were very excited as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nerve-wracking, moving, especially growing up in the South, not really going too many places. It was a little bit easier for me because of deployments and things like that, but with you, you've never really lived more than, half a day's drive away from your parents. So it was, I was really excited about it. I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal, and I knew that, it was going to be really nerve-wracking for you, but we ended up making the drive, and we got out here, and everything was fine. It took a little bit to get used to the traffic. Where do you buy your groceries? There's not a Walmart on every corner here.
The Walmarts that are here are like teeny tiny Walmarts.
I mean, it really depends on where you go. There's a really nice Walmart in Chula Vista.
Yeah, but the one in Imperial Beach is where we go is very small.
Yeah. I mean, it literally is, it looks like a Kmart. It looks like they just threw Walmart stuff up, and it looks like it's in a Kmart. I mean, it still has food and it still has clothing, but it's like a very minimal selection. Whereas if you go to the one in Chula Vista, it's like one of those Walmart super centers, like the one that's in Wetumpka. maybe even bigger. They have a lot bigger selection of shit. Like, it's really nice. Anyway, I didn't mean to get on the whole subject of why I like Walmart, but you know, and when you move to a new place like that, that's really what happens. Like, you just figure out, okay, well, this is where I'm going to buy groceries. This is where I'm going to get my gas. You know, for your day-to-day life, you figure out, you know, all your necessities. You know, like, okay, this is, you know, where we're going to go get tacos. This is where our McDonald's is going to be, like, and you know, it was a lot of fun for the first couple of months. You know, we got here in September, and I mean, it was like, just, the weather was still warm when we first got here. It's hot as sin outside right now. And when we first got here, I mean, it was just going to the beach and going here and going there, going to Belmont Park and going to, you know, everything. It was like every weekend we were going to do something, and I was going to do stand-up pretty much every night, and I was still getting used to my new job and, you know, all this different stuff. And it pretty much stayed like that. We started to get used to things. I'd say I felt like I was used to it here by like mid-October. I mean, when you felt used to it, like...
Well, I didn't get here till the 2nd, so
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like probably around December is when I got used to it, because it was mainly the traffic. I was really skittish with all the traffic. It's when there's no COVID and it's in the full swing of things and all the tourists are here and everything like that, it's pretty bad traffic. A lot of people don't know what they're doing when they're driving over here, and it was intense.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot to get used to, because growing up in Wetumpka and then living in Gulfport for 5 years, I mean, the traffic wasn't bad at all. And, you know, when you move out here, where, I mean, this is a huge city and they have 8-lane highways, people going, you know, 70 miles an hour at 5 o'clock in the morning, that's just it's a different feeling. So, I mean, it can be a little nerve-wracking. I still get nervous when I'm driving out on the interstate. I mean, I do a lot better than I used to, but I still get nervous.
I'm actually pretty comfortable now with the driving situation. We pretty much traveled all over San Diego. I mean, there are some spots that we haven't like been, but the spots that we have been are high traffic areas.
And a lot of the reason we haven't been everywhere is because you know, that was my main thing when we first got here. I was like, hey, let's spread this out. Let's not do everything that's fun within the first couple of weeks. You know, let's, you know, take our time, and we will, you know, do things over the course of time while we're here. And, you know, I was like, you know, let's just save a little bit of money, you know, and when summertime comes, we'll really go out and have fun. I mean, and October came and went, and then, you know, we were going to comedy shows and going to, you know, we went to Disneyland in December. That was our first time ever going there. And I mean, we were having so much fun. And then, you know, the new year was coming up, and, you know, we went to this New Year's party at our buddy's house, and, you know, everybody was real hyped up, you know, all excited, like, oh, it's going to be 2020, and, you know, we're going to do a lot of great things this year. And then it was like that through January and February. I mean, things were looking real good.
Yeah.
January and February was me personally, it was some of my best time period for stand-up. I mean, I did stand-up like twice a week at the minimum during that time. And I got some of the biggest shows. You know, I know I talk about it pretty much on every episode, but, you know, I got some of my biggest shows that I've gotten to date during that time period. And I was really excited. Like, things were really starting to look good. And then March came. And I remember January, you kind of talked about it.
I was telling you the whole time, this is going to be bad. And you were like, oh no, it's going to blow over. It's not going to come here.
I just assumed you were being paranoid. but I was just like, this is the media trying to scare us, trying to get us to go out and buy toilet paper or something, which obviously worked for a little while. And, but I didn't really pay it no mind. I just thought, oh, this is just them looking for something to cover on the news. And I was like, this is just going to be just like swine flu. Like, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Nobody's going to care. And then I kept that same mentality. And then on March 13th is when they shut everything down. We were having a great time. On March 12th, you couldn't tell me shit.
Well, you say that, but it was actually kind of getting a little bit scary, at least here in San Diego, because I remember that hospital over here where I was going to take Lily. Mm-hmm. They had a patient coming from China whose mother and grandfather had coronavirus, and they put that child in there. So I was like, maybe I shouldn't take Lily to the hospital.
Yeah. But I mean, other than that, like yeah, that is something scary, but at the same time, it's, just if you heard that one person had a case in your city, it wouldn't change anything of the way you thought about things,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, I was like, oh, that's no big deal. But for me, when they shut down the Comedy Store in LA and they said, hey, we're not doing any big events, more than 200 people, because that was originally what the governor put out, like, hey, no events with more than 200 people, which that sounds ridiculous, but here in California, when you do stand-up, you may do it, a room of 150 people is good. And so a lot of places was like, oh, we only have 199 seats, so we're good to go. And they were staying open. And then 24 hours later, they said no more than 10 people in a room. So all live entertainment shut down.
And we actually had tickets to go see some comedians.
Yeah, we had tickets to go see Pauly Shore.
Yeah.
We were going to go
all
see.
All got canceled.
Yeah. She's a huge Pauly Shore fan. I like him too. And I'll go see anybody. I don't care. If I can get tickets to him, I'll go see him. And the tickets got canceled. They got pushed back. And this is when everybody was freaking out. This is when everybody was rushing to the stores and, buying up all the toilet paper. And I mean, it was scary. Like, we were scared. Yeah. I think everybody was scared for a week, 2 weeks, especially here in California, because it was weird.
I mean, we were out of a lot of stuff. We had to get creative, of how we bought our groceries. I remember we had to go to some actual restaurants, started selling their produce and stuff like that to people, because you couldn't go in restaurants, so they had to sell their eggs, their produce and stuff like that would go bad.
Yeah.
So we actually had to buy eggs from there, because eggs were so hard to find here for at least 2-3 months.
We kill eggs in this house. I don't think I could be vegan simply due to eggs. I think I could give up a lot of other meats, but eggs, I don't think I could get rid of.
I'm not a huge fan of eggs, but
I love some eggs, boy. I don't know why. Anyway. So that whole and the traffic was reduced to nothing. You would get out on the interstate and nobody would be on the roads, and you were like, this is post-apocalyptic type shit.
Yeah.
And it stayed like that for another week, 2 weeks. And then, that's when everybody seemed like they kind of had a grip on what was going on. And, it was very strict here. No restaurants were open. I mean, it was locked down to the point to where the beaches weren't even open. And we live on the beach.
Yeah, that really kind of made me mad, because, I mean, it's open air. And they were talking about you needed to wear a mask. When they did open, you'd have to wear a mask on the beach.
It was ridiculous.
It was shut down for like a month and a half. The beach.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard. Remember. It's hard to like think about the timestamp for when they did stuff, because it's been happening for so long now that, you know, like everybody keeps saying this is the new normal. In California, it kind of is, because like today I went to the store and I was standing there and I was like, I don't remember coming in here without these like plastic barriers between me and the cashier.
And my thing is those barriers don't do nothing.
Yeah, like I'm
they're still
around it. They can't
all
hear
of your stuff. You're still handing them the stuff that they're fixing to touch that you've already touched. So if you have it, they're gonna get it.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't stay on surfaces as long as they thought it would now. But I mean, if you're touching your face, moving that mask around and stuff like that, and you touch all these things,
there is zero logic, at least here in this state. Like, the way that things have been done, I'm just fast forwarding through all of it because I'm not going to talk through all the different stages of COVID here in California. But like right now, you can't go to a comedy club, right? Which, I mean, that's a big thing for me. I know I keep bringing that up, but for me, that's a big thing. You can't have live entertainment because it hasn't been approved by local government. However, SeaWorld and the zoo are open at pretty much full capacity, but you got to wear a mask. So they're getting 2,000-3,000 visitors from people who are still taking vacations to come to San Diego, and they're going to the zoo. And you walk around the zoo, like, we haven't been yet, but I've seen like TikTok videos and videos that people have made walking around the zoo, and it's ridiculous. There's so many people. The SeaWorld and the zoo are open. Disneyland is not. Universal Studios is not open because, well, you can't open a theme park, but they're classifying SeaWorld as a zoo because they're not allowing people to get on the rides.
But they're still charging you the same price.
The price is, yeah, the price is exactly the same. It's like $75 fucking dollars a person to walk around and look at sad killer whales.
Yeah.
And I hate to put it so bluntly, we went, so we supported it, but...
Well, technically we didn't pay for it because military get in free once a year. Right.
But still, those killer whales look sad in SeaWorld. And they give you, they're like, you could come try some of our delicious barbecue.
It was
the worst barbecue. I'd rather eat roadkill. I'd rather pick up a possum and put some, you know, Sweet Baby Ray's on it and eat that, because the shit that they had at the SeaWorld when we went, I was like, this is horrible. And it was like $17 for like one spare rib. And they're like, have a nice day. You know, and now they want you to wear a mask when you're not taking a bite of your damn food.
Also, it gets to like 109 degrees some places around here, and they want you to wear a mask outside walking around in these theme parks.
Yeah, the whole time. Even in residential areas, like I see people walking around in our neighborhood with masks on.
I see people in their cars with masks on.
I look out the window and I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? There's nobody around you. We walk around, we live on Coronado, which is right up the road, and we walk around. I mean, it's a little small town on a little bitty like peninsula island, and we walk around town. It's got all these cute little shops and little restaurants. It's real touristy. We walk around there without a mask on, and these people go berserk. And we're not even close to anybody.
Well, it's not like that. They don't go berserk. They did at first, but a lot of tourists have come since then, and they don't wear masks when they come here because it's not mandatory to wear masks outside. But the old people that live on Coronado, if you walk by them without a mask on outside, no matter how far away you are, they lose their minds.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to go into all of that because it's going to just make me mad. But The part of San Diego that we live in is very conservative, to put lightly. And we like it because it is so close to where I work. My commute in the morning is hardly anything to get to work. And, we enjoy it for that, and we like where we live. But the people, not everyone, but some of the people here are really, really rude. And they act like the island belongs to them, and that, the people visiting should, adhere to their, Fox News agenda where they're scared to death. You're sitting down at a table without your mask on, and you're freaking out because people are walking by you 10, 15 feet away without a mask on. It's like, if you're that scared, you need to stay your ass in the house. But that's as far as I'm going to go into that. But so basically, the point I'm trying to get to is that we had about 6 months of fun California where I would have argued with you tooth and nail, like, hey, this is a great place. I'm loving it here. I like the laws here. I never was a fan of all the gun control here. I've never been a fan of that. But, a lot of the things that we liked were because there was no COVID. And because the whole coronavirus thing started, it really exposed how fucked up a state like California can be. For one, there's too many damn people here. That's really, and we live in San Diego, which it's really not that bad. San Diego is pretty much viewed by all of California as real laid back, real mellow people who like to surf and things like that. But when you go up to LA and San Francisco, it is pandemonium the whole time. And, with everything from protests that turns into riots, shit got scary here for a while. And, luckily it wasn't really that bad here in San Diego. It looked scary, but in the grand scheme of things, it really wasn't that bad. So what I'm saying is, it's been a rough year for everybody, but, I would say that California has had it really bad. And especially, I just think about the people that moved here at the end of February. And they got to enjoy 1 to 2 weeks of no COVID California, and then boom, all the fun gets cut off. Because that's really what you're paying for when you live here, is fun.
Yeah.
That was my big reason for wanting to come out here, because there was a lot of stuff to do. I want to have activities to go do, try things new, this big mixture of different cultures and, people from all different walks of life. That's the thing about California, is it's just...
I still like that, but it's so political here that you can't do anything right now.
Yeah. To this day, if we want to go do anything, not just going into Walmart, just to go pump gas, we don't really do a whole lot anymore just because it's so strict. But it was just up until recently, if you went to dinner, you were eating outside. And like she said, it was 105 degrees
You'd
out.
be sweating, and there'd be flies and stuff.
Yeah, you're outside next to a dumpster, wiping sweat off your forehead, and there's people in cars flying past you going 60 miles an hour, and your waiter brings you out food and they expect you to pay $60 an entree for it. And you're just like, I was hoping to pay for the ambiance, to be honest with you. We've eaten sitting down in a restaurant twice since March of this year.
Well, I went to Alabama, so I got to get out of that for a little while.
And that was a big thing too. So back in, when was it? June into July? Her and Lily went back to Alabama.
For about 3 weeks.
Yeah. I just saw that nothing looked like it was going to open up anytime soon here, and I could tell how bored they were, and the military wasn't going to let me go anywhere. So I just said, hey, how about y'all just go home for a little bit, get away from all this craziness. And from what you told me, I mean, you can probably talk about it more than I can.
I mean, when I went to Alabama, it was like it wasn't happening, kind of. I mean, my parents, they stayed away from certain areas. They said it was really bad in Montgomery. We didn't go to Montgomery at all. We stayed in Wetumpka. They go to the lake every weekend, so we went to the lake. But when I was going to all these stores and Walmart and stuff like that, it was mask optional when I was there. I wore a mask because, I mean, I heard that cases were on the rise in Alabama, so I made Lily and me wear a mask. But I was going into Walmart and stores like that, and it was like it wasn't happening.
Yeah. And that's one thing that's had me thinking this whole time. Like, when you got back, I was so, like, jealous just because I want to go live in, like, a place that allows me to be a normal human being for a while. You know? Like, I feel so bad because I talked about it, like, you know, this time last year, I was like, man, I can't wait to get out south. I'm about to go out to Cali and just live my life. And, you know, and I was talking all this craziness, and I've made fun of Alabama, and you know, a lot of it is just me making fun. I don't hate Alabama by any means, but I was ready to get out of the South, and I'm not afraid to admit that. I think, you know, that's just me as a person. This is something I've always dreamed of doing, is moving out to California or a big city. And now I would love to just go into Walmart and not have to wear a mask like that. I would pay for that experience right now.
Yeah, the mask stuff doesn't bother me. It's the everything being closed down, and you can't go and sit down in a restaurant. You have to eat outside.
Yeah.
I mean, on the island here, a lot of the time it's not that hot. It's a nice cool breeze off the ocean water and stuff like that. It's pretty, like, it's cooler over here. Yeah. But if you go into downtown San Diego or into Chula Vista or something like that, it's hot. It is sweltering heat. You will be sweating.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, it's that time of year. I mean, the summer for San Diego is, you know, August, September. So it's very hot, and we're really getting our first taste of how hot it can be right now because we have wildfires that we can see from our house, which that's very strange because
it was raining ash here 2 days ago.
Yeah. And that's really weird because we've never seen anything like that before. You just look up, like, right across the bay from our house. I posted a picture of it on Instagram. There's this beautiful mountain range, and it's gorgeous in the mornings when the sun comes up over it. And that shit is on fire right now because some idiot decided to have a gender reveal party and blow up some tannerite, I think it was.
Is that real?
Yeah. They're blaming this entire thing because of somebody's gender reveal party. And I'm going to tell you this right now, okay? Look, if you are having a gender reveal party, fuck you, okay? Because, look, when me and Zana got pregnant with Lily, you know what we did? Hey, we're having a girl. The end. We're having a girl. Buy some pink shit for us, thanks. Pretty much. I mean, it sounds blunt, but I don't get this whole, oh, we're going to strap a donkey to a bunch of balloons and we're going to have them run through some sticker bush, and one of them is going to have some pink baby powder in it, and when that shit explodes, we'll know we're having a girl, you know? Or we're going to put some shit on our tires and we're going to spin out in our driveway, and the smoke that it creates, whatever color it is, we're going to let everybody on Facebook know, hey, we're having a boy. Some idiot here up in, rural California, which right over that's another thing about California is you'll have the city right here and you drive 10 minutes and you're in, donkey country up there up in the mountains. And it is, it's nice. I like going up there, but it's a lot of trees that are laying on the ground, underbrush, shit that is dry bushes. Because we're in the desert, and they decided to blow some shit up that had some pink or blue dust on it. I don't know, and it has burned like 32,000 acres of land here in Southern California. It's destroyed a bunch of people's homes. They're saying that the people that did this they're gonna be sued for millions of dollars, and I hope they do. I really do. Like, imagine that kid growing up knowing that your parents were so dumb that they decided to blow some shit up over something dry out in the middle of the California desert, and it destroyed a bunch of people's homes. Maybe they could name their kid Sue. Maybe it'll be a boy. Anyway, so yeah, I don't mean to go on a rant about my, love-hate relationship with where we live right now, but that's currently where we're at.
I still like California, but it's just, I feel like COVID-19 kind of brought out the flaws.
I was listening, this is the last thing I'm going to say about this. I was listening to another podcast. I listen to a lot of different podcasts. And it was The Flagrant 2 with Andrew Schultz. And they live in New York. And they're going through, a similar type of lockdown. And they said, they were talking about all these big name comedians and stars and stuff who are moving out of these big cities. And they don't blame them. And I don't blame them either because, like, case in point, Joe Rogan, he's pretty much was the comedy podcast kingpin here in California, pretty much the entire United States, depending on how you want to look at it. But, this was his base, was Los Angeles. And I mean, the Comedy Store where he's, paid regular and he can be seen pretty much 2 or 3 times a week there has been closed since March. And, he's paying money out the wazoo to record a podcast where you can do that shit anywhere. That's what's made him so astronomically famous lately. And it really brings it back to the point of, you live in a big city because you're chasing a dream. To be honest with you, that was one of the reasons I picked these orders. I wanted it to be fun for y'all. I wouldn't have picked, New York or something like that because I don't think that would have been fun for y'all. But
you say that, but at first you picked Lancaster.
Well, I just picked California. When I went through and did my selection for where I wanted to go, I went California, 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 the entire way down because I wanted to come out here. I wanted to move away from the South. And originally I had Lancaster, and then some stuff happened.
Which is in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
I don't know if I would have minded as much now. It would have been a lot more calm, I'd have been like, man, what are they doing down there in San Diego? But anyway, with all that being said, that's the main thing. You move to a big city from a small town because you're chasing a dream. And when the dream is not happening in the big city, then what do? You move away. And that's happening to a lot of people. A lot of people that, I was really excited about bumping shoulders with at the Comedy Store are gone. They moved away. They moved to Nashville, Tennessee, or they moved to New Jersey, or they got canceled because they were accused of some type of, sexual deviancy. That happened to one of my favorite comedians. So it just hasn't been a great time for California stand-up. But enough about all of that. We're done talking about California, okay?
you want to listen to all that shit, you should have paid attention to the first 30 minutes, okay? Now, we're going to talk about our 6-year anniversary coming up on Monday. So we've officially been married for 6 years, and we've only been together for about 3.5 of them, physically together, between deployments and training exercises and all the other stuff that comes with being in the military. We've only actually been in each other's presence for about 3.5. I
think it's 3.5 years.
I want to
say
say
I'm doing
4.
the math in my head right, it's 3.5.
I want to say 4.
Basic, A school, 3 deployments. We've only been together for 3.5 years.
Yeah, but we got to see each other on the weekends in A school. You know?
For like 2 days.
Yeah, but we saw each other every weekend.
No, we didn't actually, because I was working, remember?
We saw each other a lot. All of my friends were like, well, that's bullshit. You get to hang out with your wife on the weekend. I'm like, you're 18 years old. You ain't married. But anyway. So pretty much, we got married September 2014. And we went on our honeymoon. And then right afterwards, I went to boot camp. I went to U.S. Navy boot camp up in Great Lakes, Illinois, and I was there for 2 months for basic training. You and your mama came to visit me for my graduation, and I was really happy that you got to come see me because I really missed you. It's difficult getting married and then immediately being told you can't be around your significant other for 2 months, but we knew what we were getting into. I mean, this was all,
we had planned all of it out.
Yeah,
so we were prepared for it.
It was, really planned and put together before we, really even got married or got engaged. And, from boot camp, I went to A school, which luckily was in Meridian, Mississippi, which is only about 3 hours away from where we're from, Wetumpka, Alabama. So she would come see me pretty much every weekend. And that was really nice because, I finally had a little bit of freedom. I was just going to school to learn my job. And on the weekends, everybody else was like, man, let's go to the liquor store. Let's go to the vape store, man. And I was like, I got plans. Mrs. Dunn is coming to pick me up, and we're going to see American Sniper at the movie theater or something like that, And that's what we would do. She would come check me out on the quarterdeck, like she was my mom. At the quarter, like, yeah, I'm taking him with me. And we would just... I
remember I had to tell them what the plan was, what I was going to take him to do. Like, he was 5 years old.
And we're a newly married couple, so
is this serious?
We're like, I'm standing, and they were cool about it. They know what it is, but we're looking at them like, oh, we're going shopping. You remember that? And
oh my god.
And we did that for 2 months. She would come out and visit. You couldn't do it every weekend. And my A school was kind of stretched out because it happened. I graduated boot camp right after Thanksgiving. So we had all the Christmas holiday. And then I didn't actually graduate school until like February. And then I got sent to Gulfport, Mississippi, where I went to combat school for the battalion that I was about to be a part of. And I really had a good time doing that combat school. It was a whole lot of fun. And I got to see my wife every weekend. So, it was just the exact same program that we had in Meridian, where she would just come down, we'd get a hotel room, and we would spend time together and go out to eat. And And we knew we were about to live in Gulfport too. So it was kind of like, oh, let's see what's around where we're about to live. Only problem was I was about to go on a deployment. I found out halfway through the combat training, like, hey, you're going to go on a 6-month deployment as soon as you get done with combat training. Now, this is where things get real interesting. Because I graduate combat training, and I don't know exactly when I'm going to deploy. So now I'm in my battalion that I just checked into.
You forgot to say that his battalion had already deployed.
Mm-hmm.
He was just waiting for his flight to pop. He knew he was going to deploy within a month's time span.
Yeah. Everybody's telling me I need to get a house. I don't have a house yet. But I also don't have a place to stay. So I'm paying out of pocket to stay at the hotel on base, which got pretty expensive after the first couple of days. Meanwhile, Zana, why don't you tell everybody what you called me and told me on the phone?
I can't remember. What time? Was it at night? It was really late.
I don't remember. I don't remember exactly.
And I called him and I told him I was pregnant. And he was like, what?
Yeah.
Because he's already panicking because he doesn't know what's like going on with this deployment and stuff like that.
I'm very stressed out because I don't know what the best move is. Like I'm really worried about managing my money correctly and doing the right things that I need to do. And now I just found out I'm going to be a daddy, and I'm excited, but I'm really stressed and freaking out, and I felt like that was kind of, you kind of took it as like I wasn't happy to find out.
No, I knew he had called me. That's why I was so nervous to call you, because I knew what you were going through, and I knew you were so stressed out with that stuff. I was like, I'm just like adding lighter fuel to these flames.
Well, I mean, long story short, it ended up working out because I didn't get a house. My flight popped. I went on deployment. I went on deployment. I went to Rota, Spain for like 5 months. I didn't get to go for the whole deployment, but I was there for 5 months, and that was a really fun experience. I really enjoyed it. I really wish you could have come out there and seen it as well, but that's not how the cookie crumbled. And come back from deployment, and you're 5 months pregnant. Like when I left,
yeah, I look a lot different.
Yeah, when I left, she looked the same, and when I saw her in person again, she was.
I was pregnant.
She was pregnant, and
I had been sending him pictures the whole time, so he kind of saw, but it's a lot different.
Yeah, seeing somebody in person
changed so much.
It's like, goodness gracious, she's pregnant, and it was like that for a couple of months, and come December is when Lily was born, and I mean, I've gone into it on other episodes where I've talked about what it's like being a new dad and stuff like that. I think my episode with Peyton, I talked about it probably the most, but it was real different. But I'm glad that I got to be there for the birth. That was my big thing. I wanted to be there when she was born.
A lot of military people aren't able to be there.
I've seen friends of mine watch their baby being born via FaceTime at like 6:30 in the morning, and it's 8:30 p.m. in the United States. Like I've seen that happen where they're like, hey, I need to go take a phone call. My wife is giving birth to our first child. And they're like, well, hold on. We're in the middle of a pretty important meeting. And they're just like, okay, well, I'm going to go outside now. But I'm not going to go into all of that. Anyway. So I get to be home, and, you know, Lily's born, and, you know, she's getting bigger, and, you know, we're still learning how to be a new married couple, and now we have a baby in the mix, and, you know, things are good, and I mean, no complaints, everything is going fine, and then it's time to deploy again. And I go on a 7-month deployment to Guam.
That was the hardest deployment for me.
That was the
I don't
hardest
know about for
deployment
you,
me, yeah.
but
There was a bunch of different aspects of that deployment that made it very difficult.
I think I cried like every day for like a solid month.
Yeah, it was hard, but, you know, we got through it. You know, I had some good people around me while I was there, because I was pretty depressed. You know, being away from your baby, baby, and thinking about her getting bigger and missing things like her walking for the first time. Luckily, I didn't miss that. And, you know, a lot of people who are, you know, in the military, and they don't take it too seriously, in a sense, they understand that type of thing. So if you tell them, like, hey, I need to go talk to somebody on FaceTime, you know, my wife is giving birth, they'll be like, go. You don't even need to ask. And I was surrounded by a lot of people like that.
I think it was also a good thing that I was able to go back home.
Yeah. She went back home.
So that really did help me, because I don't know if I would have got through that first deployment by myself with a newborn baby. And
are you talking about the second one? You were pregnant the
yeah,
first
the
one?
second one, sorry.
So
it doesn't even feel like the first one was like for real, because you had already been gone so long. I was used to it, you know what I mean? And I was like on my own already.
Yeah. And you really hadn't moved from.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, I come back home. My baby is a whole lot bigger than she was when I left. I mean, she's walking, moving around.
She wasn't walking.
No,
yet.
no, you're right. She wasn't walking
yet.
Yeah. Well, she started walking not too long after that. Spent a whole nother year in Gulfport, and then it was time to deploy again. I went on my 3rd deployment. I know I'm going really fast through this, but I don't want to stretch this episode out for 9 hours. And yeah, I went on my 3rd deployment, and this time it was a lot easier, because I knew in the back of my head, like, okay, I've done this before. Like, yeah, you don't want to leave your family, but you know why you're doing it. You're making a good living for yourself, and you're taking good care of your family. And honestly, that is in my opinion, that's the best thing you can do. And if you have to sacrifice time away from them in order to do that, then that's just what you do. And luckily, you know, we're in the 21st century, so I can use my phone to call you 2-3 times a day, and I'm on the other side of the planet. I mean, we had it timed up where
we knew like each other's schedules, so we knew when to call each other, and we would literally talk to each other at least 2 times a day, if not more.
Mm-hmm.
At least, like, it was for me in the morning, and then I can't remember.
I would call you.
It was for you.
I would call you in the morning, and that would be your nighttime.
Yeah, and then I'd call you in the morning, and it'd be your nighttime.
Yeah. So we'd always talk to each other in the mornings, and in the evenings, except we were flip-flop because there was a 15-hour difference. So if I called her at 6 o'clock in the morning, my time in Guam, it was, what, like 9 p.m. or something like that, your time?
I can't do the math.
I can't do the math either. I'm going to grab her cell phone real quick because we have questions that we want to answer. So, as I was saying, that 3rd deployment went really well. I had a great time. I really enjoyed myself. I was with a lot of really good people, and I did a lot of really good work. And I say that humbly, but I did a lot of really good work, and it ended up getting me promoted to E5. You know, in under 4 years, I was able to go from E1 to E5, and I'm really grateful that happened. because, you know, I felt like I was making adult money in the military. Like, I felt like, okay, now I'm making money that an adult can take care of their family with. And after that third deployment, I just knew, okay, well, this is my last deployment for a while. Obviously, I'm going through this very quickly because this is like a span of 5 years, but I'm just giving it to you as cut and dry as I can so that, you know, I don't ramble on for 9 hours. But I came back, I got promoted to E5, and then it was time to pick orders, and I picked for California, and then we ended up here. So that's the short.
When you say it like negative, though, I still like California. I really do like California. It's just in times like this, you realize how politicized everything is and how much they will. It's almost like they don't care about the people that live here. So many people have gone out of business. So many people have become homeless because of this. And they're not doing much about it.
I don't hate California. I miss the opportunities that are given to you in California. I made leaps and bounds as a comedian in just a few months. I mean, I'm talking about shit that I never would have thought I'd been able to do. I managed to do in just a few months out here with really not that much effort. Mm-hmm. Just because it's so readily available to you. So many people are around you networking, doing this sort of thing. It's easy. I mean, if you're a friendly person, you can just punch right in and just, you know, yeah, I'm from the South. And they're like, oh, that's different. And they'll find a way to throw you in the mix, you know, and it kind of gave me a sour taste in my mouth when all of that got taken away. And don't get me wrong, you know, stand-up is obviously still for me right now just a hobby. It's something that I want to get better at. It's something that I would like to make into a career. But at the end of the day, the military is what pays the bills, and I'm grateful that this entire time I've had a job. I probably said this 30 times on this podcast. I think one of the first things that popped into my head whenever all of this happened is, wow, I'm glad that I'm not a professional comedian.
Yeah.
Because if I was...
said that so many times when I started. If
I was just out here, I'm not talking about a professional comedian like the people that you've heard of, like Chris D'Elia or, you know, Theo Vaughn or Bert Kreischer. You know, those guys are going to be taken care of. I'm talking about the people who are grinding it out every day, like the guy that I had on my last episode, Zoltan. You know, he's a great guy and a really very talented comedian, but he's been out of work since March. I mean, he is a touring, grinding it out comedian.
Think about all those cruise comedians.
Yeah.
That have been out of business because all the cruises were shut down for so long.
Yeah, and I mean, there's people, that's how they make their living, and they don't make much more money than I do, but they do what they love. And I figured out just in the past couple of years that I'm satisfied with that, honestly. Like, that's the level that I want to achieve. When I can just be completely independent and do stand-up and do comedy at my own pace and make just enough money to make sure my family is good and taken care of, I would be happy. Now, if that means having 5 Netflix specials and sell my podcast to Spotify for $100 million like Joe Rogan did, hey, I'm cool with that too. But at the end of the day, if I make just as much money as I do now, entertaining people, and that's my sole source of income, I'm cool with that. Now, I feel like I talk about this every single episode, but it's something I'm passionate about. It's something that I think about, I talk to you about it all the time. This is the number one who hears it all the time.
But when you're passionate about something, it almost consumes you.
Yeah, it does. So I guess we're going to go ahead and answer questions. I feel like, is there anything you want to add before we start answering some of these questions?
No, just whatever you want to talk about.
Okay. So most of our questions came from a former guest on the Mac Daddy seminar. Her name is Peyton Thompson, and I greatly appreciate her questions that she sent in because I think they are really good. All right, so we'll start with this one. What made Zana fall in love with you and vice versa?
His personality. He was very confident and funny. And he wasn't afraid to take some risks, I guess.
Okay. For me, you put up with my bullshit. And I mean that in a bunch of different ways. Like, you know how people say, like, she was with me when I had nothing? And I was nothing?
I mean, that's kind of true.
Look, we've been together since we were 16. And
he didn't have a car, and I was driving him around and picking him up.
I was just a damn goofball hanging out with the wrong people and doing the wrong things. And she stuck around. And yeah, we had some ups and downs. There were some things that, you know, I mean, but it helped us grow as a couple. You know, we broke up. We've dated other people.
I feel like if you don't have the ups and downs, it's kind of, you don't know that person as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. But, you know, we broke up for a little while, dated some other people. You know, we weren't really sure what we wanted as we really reached adulthood. And that really turned both of us into the person that we really needed, I feel like.
Yeah.
You know, like, it didn't really come full circle to me to understand, like, she got me to calm down a lot and got me to be more of an adult.
He got me to be a little bit more open because I was very shy. I was very closed off
It's
with people.
Like a yin and yang type of deal, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's good, you know? Like you said, you were very shy. I think about some of the shit that I used to do.
Wild.
And
so crazy.
Don't get me wrong, I'm still wild now. I'll still do some wild shit from time to time, but I don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of in the back of my head, she's become that little angel on my shoulder that's like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. You know? So, yeah, for me.
I feel the same way, though, like, when I'm in a situation, because it's hard for me to make friends, because I'm really shy. I can't help it, but always in the back of my mind, there's Taylor being like, just go for it, just do it, it's fine.
Yeah. And I mean, we talk about that all the time. Like, I do that to myself. Like, I get psyched out to where I'm like, oh, I shouldn't do this. I'm going to make myself look stupid. And then I'm just like, the back, you know, that little demon on my shoulder's like, no, fuck that. Just go do it. You know, what's the worst thing that can happen? People could think like, oh, that wasn't that great. You know, so who cares, you know? That's the point I'm trying to make. Who the fuck cares?
But I feel like your partner should be like that. They should change a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not change who you are, but when you're with somebody for a long time, they rub off on you. They make you better.
I have zero doubt that without Zana's influence, I would be in the state penitentiary right now. 100%. I tell everybody I know that, like, if it wasn't for my wife, I would be in jail. That's what I believe. So, all right. Do we want any more kids?
No.
Yeah, we don't.
We both agree on that. I had a really bad pregnancy. I love Lily so much, but I had a lot of, like, health complications and stuff like that, and I don't want to put my body through that again. If down the future we want to have more kids, maybe we would consider adoption, but just right now we're happy with one.
Yeah. I feel the same way. For me, I like having just one because, we're 6 years in our marriage, but we're still fairly a young married couple. And, we're still not allowed, but we still can go out and do things. Like, we're planning on doing a date night and going to do a movie and stuff like that. Sometimes we are lucky enough to be able to take just a vacation, just me and her. And I feel like that's a lot harder when you have more kids.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also hard being in the military because when me and him take a vacation, we have to go back home to Alabama so that my parents or his parents can watch Lily.
Yeah.
And when we do date nights, you have to have somebody that you really trust watch your kid. At least that's how we are. And we were lucky enough to be moved out here with people that we already know in the military. They actually moved out here with us, so we can watch their kid and they can watch Lily. Like it kind of balances itself out a little bit.
Yeah. One of my best friends I've actually had him on this podcast before, Fanning. He pretty much has the same family setup as me, and we were together at our last command, and we were lucky enough to get orders out to the same area, so we hang out with each other a lot. I'm friends with him, she's friends with his wife, my daughter is friends with his daughter, and it works out perfectly. And when we want to, have a date night or something like that, we just say, hey, can y'all watch Lily for a little while? And then we go do what we want to do.
Yeah. I mean, we've known them for 6 years now.
Yeah.
And that's very rare in the military. So,
I've spent just as much time with Fanning as I have with her.
Yeah.
If that doesn't weird you out. Because that's the truth. I know him very well. And
yeah.
And it's to the point, it's almost like he's, a member of the family.
Yeah. It kind of is like when you're away from your family for so long, your friends that you're around a long time, it's like they are your family, kind of.
Yeah.
It's usually only like one group, like one set group of people like them that you consider your family.
All right. Well, we answered, do you want more kids? The answer is no. If we do end up getting pregnant again, obviously we're going to love that child.
Yes.
Just as much as we do Lily.
I just hope it isn't as bad of a pregnancy as the first time.
Yeah. Because it was bad.
Yeah. I don't think I could walk the last month because I had like a ligament. It was inflamed and it's like I couldn't walk because this hip was catching.
I felt so bad for you.
I know. It was bad.
We went to a movie.
And it's like excess amniotic fluid, so it made me even bigger. People thought I was having twins.
I remember we went to a movie like a month before I think you gave birth, and you were in so much pain because she was kicking.
Yeah, she would put her foot on my ribs and just push until it flicked off. Like her foot just went off of my rib, and you could see it.
Yeah, it was weird, man.
I felt like I was growing a titan.
No, well,
inside
she was because she got those
and she was
superior genes.
She was a big baby though. She was almost 10 pounds. Like I had to have a C-section because she was so big.
Yeah.
It was.
That's my.
And DNA. I cried because I didn't want a C-section.
That's my DNA. That's my DNA right there. That's what it'll do to you.
Oh my god! Shut up.
A titan.
No, I mean I was a big baby and so was my sister. So I expected her to be big. I didn't expect her to be that big.
A lot of people. We haven't told a lot of people, but Lily came out the womb and she could read.
stick fit. Oh my god.
She could read, and not just read regular text, she could read Braille, and she isn't
Shut
blind.
up.
Yeah.
Crazy. What makes it even funnier is she's upstairs screaming right now.
Yeah, she's squealing right now, watching Operation Ouch. That's our new thing right now.
She is very smart though.
Yeah.
I mean, I will give you that. She takes in a lot when she watches TV shows and like just from us.
Yeah.
She's pretty smart.
It's weird, man. When you're, I've talked to people on here, like when I have one of those episodes that's more about, like rearing children. And I hate to put it like that. But when I have one of those episodes that's, you know, I talk about raising my daughter and stuff like that. And I talk about like
steering, not rear.
I think it's rearing.
Steering
I think that's the
children.
term. I've heard that in a movie before. I don't know which one it was, but anyway. But that's what I tell them. I was like, you know, you think this stage that you're in right now, where they're an infant, is weird, you know, when they're like making facial expressions at you. Wait till they start talking to you. Wait till they start asking you questions. That's what's really insane. Wait till they start having full-blown conversations with you, and you're like,
wait till you think they're extremely intelligent.
Yeah, and like they're like just
like
the other
you can't
day.
say anything around them.
Just the other day,
they know what you're talking about.
I was in the garage. I was setting some stuff up. I have a black light that I like in there, and Lily came into the room and she was like, "Daddy, is that an ultraviolet light?" And I was like, Where'd you find out about ultraviolet lights?
And then she said something about fluorescent.
She was like, or is it a fluorescent? And I said, this is a black light. And you know, and it's from what we let her watch. We try to put it on
watches, what is it called?
Emma's Wonderland.
Yes.
For all of our
Netflix.
parents out there.
She freaking loves these educational shows. She loves the science shows.
Mm-hmm.
She watches Operation Ouch on Netflix.
She's watching Operation Ouch right now.
The doctors and stuff like that. Yeah. She loves that.
And it
shows some graphic stuff.
But it's all
educational,
you know,
and she's about it.
It's all scientific. It's not like, oh, look how gross this is. You know, it's like,
yes, they have a cut, it's bad, but they show them like the anatomy of it.
This person has like a serious infection, like this is what it looks like, and this is what we're doing to treat it. And it's still, I feel like it's pretty kid appropriate.
Yeah.
You know, it's it show, because she's real bad about boo-boos, and like if she gets a cut or a scrape or something, you'd think that her arm fell off.
I feel like that's the Operation House show is helping her with that though.
Yeah, I'm like, see, they're tough. Like they showed a girl in there whose jaw was dislocated and she couldn't shut her mouth.
They showed a boy with his head cut open all the way to his skull.
And you know, she's like, oh, he's got a boo-boo.
He needs to go to the hospital. He needs stitches. That's what she says, and I'm like, what?
You know. So I'd rather watch stuff like that than just that trash that's on other stuff.
One thing we do not let her watch though is Ryan's World.
Yeah, we don't fuck with Ryan.
Because she acts so bad when she watches Ryan. And I don't know why. Because a little bit of it is educational, but he's just kind of, it's one of those shows where it's just nonsense. And when she watches that,
she acts a fool.
She acts so bad. She throws tantrums. She pitches a fit.
She acts
and I'm
weird.
Just like,
she acts like
this is not you. Why are you acting like this?
She acts possessed. You know, like we'll be in bed at 3:30 in the morning, and we'll hear her in her room like, "Oh, Ryan, that's not funny." And I'm just like, I'm laying in bed, curled up, like, what? And she'll come in there, Daddy, I need to watch Ryan.
She's like, you need to cut the TV back on. I need to watch Ryan. And he's like, you need to go to bed.
Yeah.
And we let her watch TV for a little while because that's the only way she would go to bed. But now we cut that TV off. If she goes to bed, she goes to bed. Like,
And if
there's
it's
no
on,
TV.
If it's on when she falls asleep, that's a different story.
Yeah, but then we just cut it off.
Yeah.
After that. But sometimes she goes to bed
That's
without
what
a TV. But I don't know what it is. She acts like a
She's back.
different person
Yeah.
when she watches
And
that
now
show.
she knows now, like, she said, Daddy, we can't watch Ryan. He's a bad kid. And
She says that. And I'm like,
That's
he's
right.
not a bad kid. I'm like, you just,
I
you
tell her,
act bad.
I
when
tell
you
her
watch
he's
Ryan.
bad. Fuck Ryan. I don't. He has $26 million and he's 8 years old. You know? I'm 26 years old. And if I had $8 million, I'd probably be an asshole too. So. Anyway.
It's almost like when she watches Ryan, she gets a little bit obsessive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. She does that with a few other shows, but
She
not
does it-
quite as bad.
But I don't let her watch all those shows. But Ryan, it's like, Ryan is the worst. She gets almost like she's
Yeah. I don't feel like she's retaining any
so,
knowledge from it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
She's so
okay with
enveloped
if
in the
she-
show that she can't get out of it.
if she
It's like she's
really
not in reality.
likes a show and she tells me something educational about the show, I'm fine with her watching it. Like Blippi.
Yeah,
we
she
fu-
likes Blippi.
We
She
fuck
loves
with Blippi.
Blippi.
Yeah. Blippi, we'll go down the road
She
and
talks
stuff.
about excavators,
Yeah,
tractors,
we'll go down the road and shit.
airplanes.
We'll go down the road and stuff. She'll be like, Daddy, that's an excavator. And I'm like, oh,
Okay.
okay.
And then she sings her excavator song.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a tractor. That's an airplane. She sings her songs.
And I'm cool with that. But
she likes her leapfrog ABCs and
Yeah.
numbers
mhm.
and
She loves that shit. And
reading and phonics and stuff like
I be
that.
asking her sometimes, I'm like, you just want to watch, you know, Captain Marvel or something, and she doesn't want to watch that. She wants to watch phonics.
She loves Blippi though. Blippi is her number one.
I don't think Blippi is her number one.
It was.
I mean, she swaps around.
Yeah.
Sometimes it would be like a 2-3 day
I mean,
binge.
she's 4 years old.
Yeah.
She flip flops on what she likes a lot.
She'll
but
go, ooh, I want to watch Blippi. And then I'll put it
and
on
then she's like,
Blippi.
ooh, I want to watch the Wiggles, which I
Yeah.
don't mind the Wiggles. They're a little bit ignorant, but they're educational.
Every time I watch anything like Blippi or Ryan's World, I get a little bit upset because I'm like, how come I didn't think of that?
I don't like Ryan's World because she acts so bad. It's the only thing. She just acts so bad. And then that Sharko and what? And Zig.
I think that show's funny though.
She thinks it's funny, but it is
I think it's
so
funny.
ignorant.
I'm a grown
It's
ass
almost-
man, and I think it's funny.
It's almost like Tom and Jerry because they don't talk. None of them talk, but she
You know, there's
just
a scream.
she acts a fool when she watches that.
It's funny.
I think it's funny. I let her watch it every now and then because it is funny. She gets a little laugh out of it and everything, but we usually just let her watch the educational shows.
Let's answer another question.
We went on a tangent. I'm sorry.
Oh,
When
okay.
it comes to Woody, we can pretty much talk all day long.
We've been drinking, so
Yeah.
it's pretty loose.
It's whiskey
Around
and
here.
Coke. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah. She said, what are your favorite things about each other? I think that kind of falls in line with what made you fall in love with each other, vice
Yeah.
versa.
I like that you're so goal oriented.
Okay.
You really stick to something. You don't just like slack off. I mean, everybody slacks off a little bit, but you really stick to something once you set your mind to it. And I really like that. And you're a really good daddy. You really take care of Lily, and you're really sweet and funny, and she loves it. He's insane, but she loves that. He acts hilarious, and she thinks it's the funniest thing in the world.
I like it that you appreciate those aspects. You know, like I know deep down you appreciate those things because I do try really hard to, you know, make things, not just make a living, but make things fun for y'all. And you know, it's been hard lately because so much stuff is shut down. But you know, I try to make things interesting. I try to make things fun. try,
And I think that is such a good quality. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think that is such a good quality because he does try to make things so fun for Lily and stuff like that. Like, I feel like I don't think she has a bad memory at all. You know what I mean? I mean, you were gone for a little bit, but at the same time, I feel like in her memories, even when you FaceTime, you made it so fun for her. And I don't really think she has a bad memory.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. You want better for your kids. You don't want them to think about, oh, he was gone for so long and stuff like that.
I mean, I try to, I try to start this, like, family tradition that we do every year where we, you're all right.
Sorry.
I tried to start this family tradition that every year on her birthday, we would take her to Disney and, let her feel like a princess for the day. Because, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness and I didn't get to celebrate my birthday. So to me, a birthday is a very big holiday. It's a day that's supposed to be for you. And her third and fourth birthday, I completed that task. I took her to Disney for her birthday, and I did my very best to make her feel like a princess.
And she did. She remembers it, is the thing. And people kept telling us, you don't need to take her. She's not going to remember it. She talks about it with us.
We talk about it a lot.
Remember when I saw this princess and stuff like that?
We're
Remember
big,
when I saw Tiana?
We're big Disney fans. I'm wearing a turkey leg shirt right now.
From the Disney store.
And, we're big fans of Disney. And
she loves it.
Their customer service is just unmatched. Like you get what you pay for.
I think we've only had one bad experience. And
That
it wasn't in a park. It was in downtown Disney. And it was at some restaurant that was going out of business, and it was the only bad experience we've ever had with Disney.
And it was literally just they took too long to get service.
It's like they were really short.
And that's not even anything worth mentioning.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big a deal. But for me, it's taking her there and telling her over. She's got the birthday pin, and everybody's telling her happy birthday, and her incorporating that
because she's such a people person.
Yeah, her incorporating that with wearing a tiara that I bought her, or riding the rides and getting to meet all the princesses. Because I've had people say, like, is it for her, or is it for y'all? And it's really for all of us. Like, I get a sense of enjoyment that I can't on
because it's also
any other level than seeing her so happy. I have bawled crying.
Cries like a baby
every time.
Every time we go to Disney and she sees those princesses, it's always the princesses.
I saw.
She meets them and he cries like a baby.
It makes
I tear up, but I'm just like, Taylor, because he's over there like, oh.
I don't go. I just go.
And I'm like, no, you're like.
It's just so
like
sweet.
I'm like, what?
That's what really it's so sweet and so innocent, and it makes her so happy.
She really believes us that those are the princesses.
That's why I wanted to take her.
Because she's so young, she thinks this is the princess. I'm meeting them.
She believes it's real, and to me, that is worth the money to take her when she's 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah, is
because she thinks it's real, and to me, that is why I'm willing to pay, an egregious amount of money that most people are like, oh, that's too expensive. I'll wait till she's older. She's not going to believe it's real then. Yeah. And to me, that's what makes it worth it. And I know that doesn't align with everybody's plans, and that's fine. But for me, those are the things that when I'm down, I look back at and I think about. And those are the pictures that I scroll through on my phone and I look at, and I'll tear up just looking at those pictures because it's so sweet.
Yeah. And you remember that emotion, you know what I mean? You remember that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just the princesses, it's the furry characters. Like, when we took her to meet, like, Mickey Mouse or, like, Minnie and Goofy and Dawn and stuff like that, she loves that. And she loves the rides, too. And also, I feel like she really, because she was scared about some rides at first, but this last time we went to Disneyland, she was up for it. She knew what was going to happen. She was so much better.
She said she was scared on a couple of things,
but
like that was the difference, because when we took her,
she does have some sensory issues. She has to wear those like earphones. We invested in some earphones that are
she's
like
real
soundproof.
sensitive to sound.
But that's the only thing.
Loud sounds she does not like, and I'm kind of the same way, so I understand where she's coming from. But anything that's like real loud, or especially if it's like
compressed air, is the worst for her. If it's like that,
anything that goes like that, she'll freak the fuck out.
She has to have those like earphones. What are they? It's like you go to the gun range. Those earphones.
I bought her some earmuffs.
Yeah.
And she wears them on the ride, so it muffles the sound a little bit, and it helps a lot.
So if you have any kids out there that are kind of sensitive to the noise thing, invest in some good pair of earphones, because it is worth it.
Definitely.
Everything you do, it is worth it.
Yeah. I think we'll go ahead and answer one more question, and then we'll wrap this up.
I'm sorry, we get off on a tangent.
It's okay.
I feel like.
So Peyton said, what are your plans, and what are your military plans, and how does Zana feel about you being in the military? We kind of already answered that. Being away from family. So basically, what are our plans? So
I feel like you can't really plan a lot in the military. You have to kind of play it by ear. But I mean, plans wise, if he does stay in the military, then we'll kind of just keep on like we're doing. And but if he gets out, then
it's
up in the air.
We talk about it a lot, because at the end of the day, being in the military is a job. It is a bit of a lifestyle, because it is so demanding of your time, and it is so much like, it is very hard to plan things around it. But at the end of the day, it is a job. And for me, it's not really what I saw myself doing with my life. It's not necessary. I like aspects of the military. I really do. There are certain things about the military that I really like, and I really am glad that I, decided to join, because I feel like it made me into an adult. It made me a much, much more productive member of society. That's for sure. Like, I look back and like, God damn, like, what would I do if I didn't know these skills that I learned being in the military? And it's a plethora of things. It's leadership. It's, how to work with a team. It's all these different aspects, and I apply it to so many different aspects of life. However, for me, that's not really what I want to do to make a living. I don't get the fulfillment I'm really looking for out of it. And, I'm not knocking anybody who does. I'm not saying, shit, I can't stay in the military. I'm not saying that at all. But for me, I have, higher hopes for myself and higher hopes for my family. And for me, I really enjoy entertaining people, to the point to where I incorporate that in my military job. If I have to give a brief to somebody, I try to punch a couple of jokes in there to make people loosen up. And it's worked very well for me. And I've really, I've enjoyed it. I've been able to travel the world. I've been able to meet people from all different walks of life. I've been able to perform in all these different places that wouldn't have been available to me if I was just paying out of my own pocket to live in these places. So at the end of the day, the military has kind of been my, saving grace into putting me in the right positions to progress as a comedian and as an entertainer. And not just that, but, to let my family experience things outside of the South. A lot of people, and we kind of touched on this earlier, but a lot of people, I've heard it from people, they feel like they're stuck in the South and they don't necessarily have the same values or the same, the same views as the rest of the South. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with, going against the norm or going against what most people would consider, taboo. But at the same time, don't build it up in your head as something that's going to be, completely different that we were originally talking about. For me, I plan on staying in until it doesn't make sense to stay in anymore. So for me, that's, if I'm making enough money to where I am supporting my family on a podcast, on voice acting, on, anything like that, stand up, if I'm entertaining people and making the exact same amount of money that I am now, if not more, then I'll get out of the military. But right now, it's kind of like I'm on like a full ride scholarship to do what I want to do. A lot of people are saying, well, why don't you get into business management? I don't have any interest in getting into business management. That's not something I want to do, and I would be miserable doing something like that. With doing entertainment, and stand-up is always going to be the core thing that I really like to do. I love making people laugh, and I think it is the most pure art form that a human being can do. One person standing in front of a group of people and coming up with shit and making them laugh, there is not another art form as pure as that. That's what I really like. But if, I've made peace with the fact that I'm not going to be the next Dave Chappelle. I get that, I've made peace with that, and to be honest with you, I think a lot of professional comedians who haven't hit that like A-lister status, they look at it like, I just want to be financially stable. I just want to make my living doing this. That's the goal. If you can make your living doing something you love, that's the American dream. So, obviously, we had a little bit too much to drink tonight while we recorded this episode. I feel like I had a lot of fun sitting down talking with my significant other like she was a guest.
So like I said, obviously there are some things that didn't make sense. I know it kind of ends abruptly there, but we go on about a 30-minute rant after that about stuff that just doesn't pertain to any of the questions that were asked, just because we had so much to drink at that point. And but you know what? We had a lot of fun recording the episode. Zana pretty much was like, I don't know if we should post this, because she felt, embarrassed about having that much to drink and people seeing it. And, it wasn't like a dangerous amount to drink, but we were kind of buzzed, We're two grown adults celebrating our anniversary in quarantine. So if there's something wrong with us doing that, please, you don't need to be following this channel anymore. With that being said, same thing that I always say every week, go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and, hit that bell. Go ahead and like these videos. And if you want to be a guest on the Mac Daddy Seminar, hit me up, DM me, send me an email. You know, the information's all out there. So like I said, and I say every single episode, I appreciate you guys listening, and I'll see you guys when I see you. Y'all take care.